right, good evening. We just concluded our closed session, and based on our closed session, there's further investigation and research we need to do, and that pertains to item 5.2.1 regarding the discussion and possible action regarding the historical documents. So at this time, we are dropping that from the agenda. We realize that a lot of you signed up for public comment on that, but we will not be going forward on that item tonight. So with that said, we will move on to public comment, but it won't be about that unless you really want to talk about that. It's not on the agenda, and we are limiting public comment to a total of 20 minutes per topic pursuant to board policy.
Good evening, Superintendent and trustees. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a concerned Grant citizen, parent, and grandparent. I've been attending this board meeting since 2021. Boy, what a dramatic change in leadership with new board members and superintendent. The people of Kern spoke and put the previous members out to pasture. It is rewarding their replacements are younger, intelligent, and caring individuals with common sense. For those of you who didn't experience those days, you were fortunate. God has his way of rewarding believers. I thank this board and superintendent for supporting parental control in our schools and exposing the failure of our state leadership in California. The state focuses on sanctuary state for illegal immigrants, homelessness, the welfare system, and transgender favoritism. And that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question, and that is, does the postponement of the historical documents issue also include postponement of the Liberty Council potential agreement? So that's,
yes.
So it would be best to, that'll all be encompassed in one, right?
Correct.
When you hold it. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
that entire topic is off the agenda today. Thank you.
My name is Robert Tafoya. I was a lawyer for 24 years, a judge for 18 years plus. With respect to the resolution, I understand it's not going forward. I was respectfully request that you attach as an addendum to the new proposal, new resolution, a copy of the language that you intend to depict on the wall. I like to look at the language. Okay, and with that, we'll see you whenever you take up the matter again.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Chavez, she, her, ella, and I'm blessed to be here tonight, particularly about this subject. Although I can say that for probably close to 4 decades, we've been talking about issues like these, and I feel like we're continuing to revisit them. So one of the things that I wanted to share was that our responsibility as a board is to provide uplifting resources that prioritize our students' education, correct? Protecting the boundary of personal faith and public education, keeping schools out of costly legal battles, safeguarding public trust and resources for students, reminding school boards that faith is personal and not political. So I wanted to be sure to share, because I got here at 4 o'clock just to be able to be part of tonight and have my voice heard. So I'm going to ask if those who believe that these commandments do not belong in our schools, if you can please stand. If you believe that they do not belong in our schools, whether you're in this room, the next room, or the overflow. Okay? Thank you. I want to say that we must stand firm. Let us protect separation of church and of state. This is my sign here that says, don't put the 10 commandments in our public schools. And when I lift it, I'd like people to please share that. Our public schools are for every child, regardless of faith or non-faithful. Liberty Council, which is a Christian legal organization, publicly opposes students' rights who are LGBTQ+. And I feel that that is a disservice, because our responsibility is to ensure that all of our students have access to education in our public schools. This resolution endorses one religion, and therefore it excludes all others. I am Christian, by the way. Our taxpayer public schools are to provide education and not religious instruction. Don't put the 10 commandments in our public schools.
Could you turn your sign up the other way, please?
No, it's for my audience. Our schools must prioritize inclusivity, neutrality, or academic excellence. Therefore, I ask all who agree to please say the following. Don't put the 10 Commandments in our public schools. We have to stand firm. We have to protect this separation. We have to recognize that our public schools were created to be just that, public schools. And it was because of discrimination that they became public schools. We have private schools, we have charter schools.
Thank
this
you,
is
ma'am.
our taxpayer money. Once again, don't put the 10 Commandments in our public schools. And this is what it looks like for y'all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah John, and I'm a resident of Bakersfield. I'm also an intern with the ACLU of Southern California here in the Bakersfield office. Because of the lack of a remote option for public comment, I'm reading a comment on behalf of the ACLU of Southern California. They also submitted a letter yesterday opposing the resolution to display the 10 Commandments in schools. This board wisely refrained from moving forward with a resolution requiring the posting of the 10 Commandments in schools earlier this year, because that requirement would have violated the religion clauses of the California and U.S. constitutions and would have exposed the board to litigation and costly attorney's fees. The board should refrain from moving forward with tonight's resolution for the same reasons. Courts would have no need to even address the federal constitutional arguments because the resolution so clearly violates the California Constitution. One reason the board is proposing to sign a contract with Liberty Counsel is that Liberty Counsel has agreed to represent the board for free. But legal representation is only a small part of the potential cost of the type of lawsuit the board would invite if it passes this resolution. When school districts have lost similar cases, they have been forced to pay over $1 million in attorney fees to plaintiffs' counsel. If Liberty Counsel really has the courage of its convictions, it should modify the proposed contract and agree to indemnify the board for any and all fees won by any plaintiff's attorneys who challenge the resolution. If the city proceeds without that kind of guarantee, it risks recklessly throwing away vast amounts of taxpayer money in pursuit of its unconstitutional agenda. The letter submitted by the ACLU cites extensive case law that makes clear that courts would determine the resolution violates the state constitution in numerous ways. The resolution violates the no preference clause by highlighting and endorsing the importance and centrality of a set of religious principles that is at the core of some religions, but that has no relevance to others. The resolution violates the California Constitution's no aid clause by elevating a set of religious beliefs that are central to some Judeo-Christian religious traditions to the status of documents that form the foundation of our system of government. It also violates the teaching religious doctrine clause because it is clear that a prominent display of a religious document is a form of instruction, and religious instruction is clearly prohibited by the clause. Passing this resolution would be a losing battle, and the board should not invite it. Aside from wasting taxpayer dollars, passing the resolution would also foment religious divisions within the community by expressing a clear preference for some religions over others. If the board really cares about religion, it should let people determine their own religious beliefs without government interference. Thank you.
I'm Reverend Dawn Wilder, pastor of Emmanuel Lutheran Church and parent of students in Kern County. For a while I thought that I would spend time creating clever presentation on the historical and clever cultural depth of the Ten Commandments. Context teachers would now be expected to navigate in their classrooms, and the shocking truth should be persuasive. But the reality is, you already have the votes to pass this. It may be why you're waiting to vote, since Mary Little is not here. So I have to ask myself, is it even worth my time to explain to you how you are about to desecrate sacred scripture by turning it into classroom art and political propaganda? When my time is consumed fielding calls and emails and text messages from parents of non-binary and trans youth and adults in Kern County who are terrified for their children because this board consistently bears false witness against the ones that they love. And since we're talking about the Ten Commandments, This board takes the Lord's name in vain every time you invoke God to justify Christian nationalist policy. You dishonor parents by inserting yourselves between them and their own children. You covet power you were never entrusted to have. Power over families' faith, over kids' identities, over teachers' moral agency. You have made an idol out of politics and called it righteousness. You steal the dignity, safety, and belonging every child deserves in public school. And by using the 10 Commandments to push an agenda, you profane the very scripture you claim to honor. If you truly cared about the 10 Commandments, you would stop breaking them. Vote no.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Gabriel Garcia, and I am a youth organizer with the Dolores Huerta Foundation, and previously I worked as a high school Spanish teacher. And I just want to start by saying thank you for allowing us to continue to talk on this topic, even though, well, you know, it's off the agenda. Thank you. But it's obviously very concerning to us. And I know that a judge earlier mentioned wanting to see some language, but honestly, I'm asking you guys not to even open the doors to that possibility. I did some research. I know some people probably did here on Liberty Council. We know they're from Florida. I did some research, and I don't think this proposal has passed in a county in Florida. So it's so strange that they are choosing Kern County to do this. So we have to really ask ourselves why. We know that Kern County is the most conservative here in California, and we know that California makes headlines. So I think they think we're an easy place and that we're vulnerable, and they don't know that we're strong and that we are diverse. We have a Sikh and Punjabi community, a growing Korean community, Muslim, Jewish families, many different Christian traditions and indigenous communities whose practices go back thousands of years on this land. Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. And when I think about history, I also think about how indigenous traditions and entire cultures were erased by colonizing practices, especially when religion was forced on people. So we have to be thoughtful not to repeat those patterns, even if it's unintentional. And then we know this proposal comes with this contract involving lots of money if we get sued, because we know that lawsuits will happen. They know that lawsuits will happen. And I think they want this to happen. It's the whole purpose. They're prepared for it, and that tells me that it's what they want. And I don't believe we should let Kern County be used as a battleground for someone else's agenda. If they truly cared about Kern County, they would help us with our real needs, better opportunities for our students, more resources for our teachers, maybe even helping restore water in our river. I don't know. It's just disrespectful to you guys, our board members who have a difficult job of representing our students. It's disrespectful to our students, most of all. I don't think we should welcome them, and respectfully, we should tell them, no, thank you.
Hi, my name is Nadine Escalante. I'm a community member with ACLU and Bakersfield Community Policing. I'm a proud Native American of the Choctaw and the Creek tribe. So I'm here to talk about the history in the United States with religion in Native American schools. The trauma that it did to Native American people, my family, my ancestors. My grandmother and my grandfather were so impacted by it that they never ever spoke about it. They were forced to go to schools for their education, and instead they got religion. I don't want to see this for my grandchildren. I don't want to see the 10 Commandments. We are practicing Catholics. I do not want your Christian views on my Catholic grandchildren. That's what the community is saying tonight. We do not want your views. We need to look at the history of this country from 1812 to 1975, forcing religious beliefs onto Native Americans because white people felt they had that authority. And that's basically what it is. It is white people feeling they had that authority because you did not own this land, my ancestors did. I purposely wore this shirt that says savage, it's in the blood, because that's what your ancestors who came to this land uninvited and stole our land, property, raped and murdered our people. You guys were not welcomed here. And that's why I wore this shirt. And you could say, wow, because my grandparents are proud of me right now.
Ma'am, please address the board. Thank you.
You should control the people that you have speaking. The lack of respect that I have seen in these board meetings compared to all the board meetings I attend in this county is ridiculous. You guys, leaders, should start showing people how to behave and how to act respectfully in this space. Thank you.
Thank you for this time I can address the board. Thank you for all that you do. I support the Kern County Board of Directors, the Board of Education, adopting a policy to allow the display of the Ten Commandments. It would make a significant shift back toward the values that our nation was founded on. When the English colonized America, they didn't start from scratch from writing laws about themselves. They used ideas and laws from England. One of the well-known laws was called the English Common Law, and its content dates back to ancient times. In the 15th century BC, a group of slaves who lived in Egypt were rescued and guided into an eastern land. These people were given the Ten Commandments to help instruct the way of their civil responsibilities to God and to each other. Some of these were valuing human life, being honest with each other, valuing private property, and valuing the covenant of marriage. And when these people followed these commandments, they were blessed as individuals in the nation. And when they didn't, they experienced consequences. In 890 AD, King Alfred the Great used the Ten Commandments as a foundation of English common law. He had them codified, that is, enacted by a legislative body. Some of these laws enacted, for example, were no public exposure, no prostitution allowed, no drunkenness, and no disorderly behavior. The English common law was used in some of the colony's civil laws, and later it was incorporated in the Seventh Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and it is also known as the moral law, as stated by John Witherspoon, signer of the Declaration, Noah Webster, William Penn, and John Quincy Adams. Another historical fact is that the New England Primer was the first textbook printed in America, originally published in Boston around 1690. It was reprinted frequently over the centuries with millions of copies sold. It was used throughout the entire United States to the beginning of the 20th century. And this text contained the Ten Commandments. It has blessed and guided both children and adults for over 150 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Louis Gillum, a retired public school, high school teacher, and a volunteer organizer with Faith in the Valley, which is an interfaith network of 120 congregations in 8 Central Valley counties, including Kern. Our members practice Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, indigenous, and other faith traditions. We welcome everyone. And tonight, we stand in firm opposition to this resolution that would promote only one expression of morality in public schools. We oppose it not in spite of, but because of our faith. We respect and support the common values and moral expressions of all faith traditions, and to endorse any one expression over the others would do violence to our core principles of unity and diversity and unity, as well as the core principles of democracy. That's why the Establishment Clause was written and, unlike religious texts, ratified into law. The standard argument for such performative public displays of piety is that our society needs to return to morality. Well, I have to say it does. It needs to return to the kind of morality that upholds family values by holding families together rather than tearing them apart in the streets, the fields, and their homes because of the color of their skin, the language they speak, or the places where they work. The kind of morality that condemns the weaponization of food and medicine as bargaining chips in the battle to give tax cuts to billionaires. The kind of morality that measures the wealth of a society not by how much it extracts and consumes, but by how much it preserves and protects. The land itself, the water, the air, and all those who live closest to these realities. These are the kinds of ethics you cannot hang on the wall. They're the kind you struggle with in the secret, sacred places of the heart, day after day, and in the dark night of injustice, even when it's unpopular, and even when nobody is looking. Anything else is wallpaper. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comment on that topic. Do you have a topic other than the Ten Commandments you'd like to discuss?
No, I just want to say that you're promoting Christian nationalism. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Do you have a topic other than the Ten Commandments?
My name is Valeriana. I just wanted to
Please
say, yeah, I'm getting there. I just
So
want
yes
to say
or no?
maybe if we could be in that hour that was closed session.
Okay, thank you,
know.
ma'am.
I will be here at the next meeting and the next
Thank you, ma'am.
as long as you're talking about it.
My name is Ellen Schaffhauser. Can you make it clear as to when we can talk about this topic?
It will be on the agenda perhaps in the future.
Perhaps in the future, sometime in the future, huh?
You-
I come here from an hour and a half and I come to this meeting, and then you take an hour out there?
Thank
No.
you, thank you.
I would politely ask if I could have 15 seconds.
You have 15 seconds.
I didn't have my paper. I didn't think you were going to let me. I thought you were going to tell me no, I'm so sorry. Okay, I was going to say, I think that putting the 10 Commandments in school would be against the tax dollars.
Thank you. We're moving on, sir.
I'm not addressing the Ten Commandments issue. I'm just saying that policy.
Please state your name, sir.
Paul Linfesti. I just want to say that I wish the board would, I understand you have a 20-minute limit, but the board needs to really look at that. I know at the supervisor's building, everybody who shows up is given their chance to say no longer how it goes. It's only a monthly meeting, and as has been already said, a lot of these people came prepared to speak, and I really think you should reconsider that time limit policy because so many people put their hearts into what they're planning to say.
Thank you, sir. We do have other business to attend to tonight, but I appreciate your comments.
I'd just like to say that I'm appalled at this board.
What's your name, sir?
People's time
What is your
tonight.
name, sir?
My name is Brian Russell, that you had to take time out of this evening when so many people showed up to speak on a topic, took all this time to waste our time while you talk to your lawyers like you haven't done that before, like you didn't know that this was going to cause some sort of litigation for you, like you're totally ignorant of all these things, that you decided to waste the time of all these people tonight and not even vote on what they came here to speak about.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
As far as the historical documents, including the Ten Commandments, I think it's clear that I do support the idea of doing that. I do think that it would bring back truth, and especially historical truth, of how our nation was founded. I think that's important for staff and students and parents to remember. And it's not about pushing religion. It's not about teaching the religion. It's simply displaying it as a reminder of where we came from. And I think we've strayed from that foundation in some ways with some of the ideologies that have been pushed in the classroom. And in my opinion, it's important to bring back It's important to bring back, I see your sign there. And it's not disrespectful to place the Ten Commandments in the school. I'm just saying it's part of our founding fathers and how they established and wrote and designed the documents that are part of our government today. So it's a reminder to bring that back. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
I had the privilege of attending a harvest festival up in Tehachapi put on by Dale and Lori Cisneros back a couple of weekends ago. And I found that to be a wonderfully engaging place. The overall atmosphere of that place was nothing but peace and relaxation, people getting together and having a nice time. Nobody was bothering with who followed what doctrine or where anybody came from. They just all got together like people. And I have no idea how many of them were Muslim, how many of them were Christian, how many were Jewish, how many of them were of any other religion. I just saw a bunch of people getting together. They got interested in something that was a wonderful thing to do. It started out as a good idea, and it was enacted, and it turned out to be a really, really great idea. I think that kind of fellowship is really and truly lacking in our schools these days. I really do. I don't think that there is the focus or the moral center that can be provided by doctrines of faith from all around the world. There was nothing exclusive about what I saw in Tehachapi. There's nothing exclusive about the Ten Commandments. They're there for everybody. They're not picking out, they're not saying Christians only. If you're not Christian, go away. I fail to see how the Ten Commandments could be a bad idea. I have not heard one argument yet that has knocked me off my perch as saying, hey, you know what? These were some very, very good commandments. These were good ideas. I don't understand the animosity, often the absolute vitriol that I'm hearing from people who misquote the Constitution, have no idea what the Establishment Clause actually means, and yet they come up and it's just a litany after litany of people saying that. I wish they would go ahead and get their facts straight. Take a look at that. Argue it for some other reason other than it's unconstitutional because they're wrong. Plain and simple. I heard a couple of fairly compelling arguments here tonight. I don't think they've necessarily knocked me off of the direction I'm going with this, but I did hear a couple of arguments of people that weren't beating that same drum about separation of church and state being in the Constitution, the Establishment Clause, yada, yada, yada. Really and truly, they're parroting wrong things. And they're parroting wrong things at the expense of a possibly very, very good idea, something that would serve everybody. No, I'm not done talking about the Ten Commandments either. I'm not done talking about those historical documents. All of them weigh equally in importance. All of them do. And for all the talk that I've heard from people saying, well, you can't do that because you're going to get sued and it's going to cost them, why don't you stand up to the ACLUs, okay, or the whoever else it is that's out there and tell them, hey, don't sue them. Don't do that. Had somebody stand up and talking about, oh, you got a law firm from Florida. Well, the ACLU, I don't know where they came from. I don't think it was a California-based business to begin with. But the citizens of Kern County, the ones who are really concerned about education, should really take a look at all of those founding documents. I hope that all of you get an opportunity to read all of those founding documents. Because all that happened this evening was that because of legalese and a whole bunch of clever tap dancing by a couple of threatening organizations, let's not forget that not only did we not get the Ten Commandments into the school, there were 5 other very, very important documents on that slate that are also not getting into the school. into the schools, rather, excuse me. So I really do hope that folks will take a closer look at this, really study those documents, instead of just coming here and bloviating about them.
I'm not going to speak to my personal thoughts on the resolution, if you will, but I am going to encourage my constituents in Area 1, if you would like to spend some time and share some dialogue with me, I would encourage that with my Area 1s. At this time, I have not heard any support from anyone in Area 1 regarding the historical documents. So please reach out through the district, or excuse me, the superintendent's office with emails, and I would like to hear from my constituents. Thank you.
This year I got to volunteer at the Veterans Day Parade. That was a privilege. Our veterans fought for our freedom, and we need to thank these veterans every time we see them for what they did for us. Because you know what? You don't get to hold up your sign in a boardroom because they fought for your freedom. I don't get the privilege and the honor to be a board member and say what I want to say and have an opinion because they fought for us. So I will go into my opinion on the Ten Commandments and the rest of those historical documents. And I saw your sign about a first grade adultery. You know, how about explaining to them about giving a blowjob to a boy in the schools for that book that you're reading them? Or what about the tampons in a boy's bathroom? Or what about a transgender playing volleyball? Are you going to explain that to a first grader?
Are you using the free speech for that?
What about this? What about a local high school Spanish teacher talking about his transgender son in a Spanish class? You can explain that?
Are you bearing false witness? Are you just
No,
in a public area?
I'm just.
Are you saying?
Can we have some order? The time for public comment has passed, ma'am. Let's have some order, please.
So I'm just saying, you have the sign. I'm just asking. If you have a sign that says that. So I can't wrap my brain around the fact that the Ten Commandments say, don't lie, don't steal, don't murder, don't commit adultery. I have the Constitution, this, you know, the First Amendment for free speech, the Second Amendment, the bear arms, and you guys don't want these historical documents anywhere. I don't understand that. And I'm sorry to be crude, but there's books in our libraries that our children are allowed to check out that have porn in them, and everyone's okay with it. And no one's fighting for that. No one fights for that. And you mentioned God with a capital G anywhere, and everybody freaks out. Everyone freaks out. And then people claim to be Christian, and they do this. I mean, I don't know. I just honor your mother and father. That's kind of a given. I don't know. I don't know about how, I just don't understand. I just feel that maybe people are deceived and don't understand what they're really meaning. So the Ten Commandments provide essential moral guidance that can help students develop a strong ethical foundation. It can help promote honesty, respect, and responsibility. And we have our Constitution, our preamble, and everything else that goes along with it. So I leave tonight that I'm hoping that when I pass away, that when I get to heaven, they tell me I was a good and faithful servant. That's it.
Regarding historical documents, I'm sorry not everybody had an opportunity to speak. I do value your opinions and your comments, and it's always important to hear from both sides. So thank you for everybody for being here, even those who were not able to speak.